This is an original instrumental. Soulful music. Enjoy.
This is an American Soul production.
This is an original instrumental. Soulful music. Enjoy.
Peace, family. This is QI Critical Thinking, back with some news that you can use. I just want to come through real quick with a Kobe update and to talk a little bit about Bernie Sanders, who's been in the news lately. Well, Bernie's been hot in the news for what he allegedly told Elizabeth Warren, that women could not be president. And he's back in the news as well because of an endorsement. But I'm going to get to that after I just, do a little quick update on Kobe Bryant. The Federal Aviation Administration confirms that a S-76 helicopter crashed into a hillside Sunday morning near Calabasas, California, roughly 30 miles northwest of Los Angeles, with 5 passengers confirmed dead, according to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office. Gianna Bryant, the former player's second oldest daughter, was one of the passengers. She was 13. In the hours after the crash, white smoke from the helicopter was visible from nearby Highway 101, and Los Angeles Fire Department firefighters were sent to the hillside to extinguish the fire, according to California Highway Patrol officer. Weather observations from the crash area indicated low clouds and restricted visibility, which may have obscured high terrain. Bryant's regularly traveled by helicopter during and after his NBA career, and a large crowd of fans quickly descended upon the crash scene to pay their respects. The smooth shooting guard who patterned his life after Michael Jordan entered the NBA straight out of high school in 1996. And pretty much what I wanted to bring was just that information, because yes, the crash is under investigation by the Federal Aviation, and so far, they according to what they are updating us with, is that it may be because of the weather. They were saying that it was low clouds restricting visibility. So, I'll keep you updated in terms of, what they conclude from the investigation, because I know a lot of people, are wondering, what exactly happened and how did the crash happen. So, I'll keep you updated in terms of, what they conclude from the investigation as we go. And I like to say, rest in peace and prayers to the family, healing energy to the family. My condolences to, the family and friends of Kobe Bryant. As well, they said that a large crowd has gathered outside of the Staples Center where Kobe regularly played. So, fans and people are taking it hard, especially in California. So, I guess we got to offer, some condolences and healing energy to the state of California for their loss of their favorite all-time Lakers player, because in California you can't help but to be a Lakers fan, pretty much. So I know that they're taking it hard. But let me just go ahead and get to Bernie Sanders, who's been in the news lately. Like a lot of people clout chase, not just you people on YouTube, not just celebrities like 50 Cent, so which I'm gonna cover a little bit about him a little later in a later live stream, but even presidents and people who are campaigning for president also clout chase. So I wonder if Sanders is doing a lot right now to clout chase and get himself in the news. But if you ask me my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I think that, like, I don't think that Sanders will ever truly be elected. I think that he was put in place as a vote divider. They often do that. Especially when it comes down to the Democrats. A lot of the Democrats are not necessarily true Democrats. A lot of them are either liberals, who are on, the cusp of both Democrat and Republican. Or they could be just simply posing as Democrats to divide the votes. And that's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. So don't shoot the messenger. Okay, so Bernie Sanders must reconsider Joe Rogan's endorsement, says LGBTQ group. Human Rights Campaign says podcast host Rogan has attacked countless marginalist groups at every opportunity. And Joe Rogan he's also on YouTube, and he's also like a big podcast, big personality, public personality. The HRC's Alfonso David acknowledged Sanders had run a campaign unabashedly supportive of the rights of LGBTQ people. Excuse me from getting tongue-tied. Bernie Sanders must reconsider his acceptance of an endorsement from Joe Rogan, the president of Human Rights Campaign, said on Friday. Given that the comedian and podcast host has attacked transgender people, gay men, women, people of color, and countless marginalized groups at every opportunity. In a statement that followed a flood of progressive protest over the endorsement, which Rogan made on Thursday, the HRC Alfonso Davis said Sanders had run a campaign unabashedly supportive of the rights of the LGBTQ. But he said Rogan had, amongst other remarks, compared a black community of Planet of Apes and dehumanized transgender people by misgendering them and promoting misinformation. The Joe Rogan Experience, that's on YouTube. The Joe Rogan Experience is one of the most downloaded podcasts on iTunes, and Rogan has nearly 6 million followers on Twitter. His podcast attracts high-profile interviewees. In September 2018, for example, the tech billionaire Elon Musk smoked marijuana on the show, an act which sent Tesla stock prices tumbling. Rogan has also faced criticism over interviews with far-right figures such as Proud Boys founder Gavin McInnes and the conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. And y'all know Alex Jones was banned from YouTube and a lot of social medias. If you've been on YouTube a while, you know about Alex Jones. He was extremely big, and he was also extremely racist. Sanders, who interviewed by Rogan last August, is a front runner for the 2020 Democratic nomination to face Donald Trump in November. Some observers said Rogan's announcement that he would probably vote for Bernie was a win for the Vermont senator, showing he can win back white male voters who propelled Trump past Hillary in 2016. Rogan, who claims to lean far more left than right, has said he voted in that election for the libertarian Gary Johnson. Okay, and once again, y'all keep in mind now as I read this and as I'm, giving these details that a lot of people are put in place. Do we actually know because like I said, Bernie Sanders has been in the news for what he allegedly, but he denied. But Elizabeth Warren is pretty strong, like saying that Bernie Sanders stated that women could not and should not be president. Okay. Now, if Sanders allegedly did say that, then that would mean that he would be a sexist or a misogynist. Now we all know, and I'm not saying that every Jewish person is like that, but we all know that that's also a part of the Jewish religion, a part of their like doctrine. It's very patriarchal. So it would not surprise me if those were his views. Bernie was also one of the ones who stated at first that he did not want to give black people reparations. Now, this is very important because every other race, including his race, the Jewish people, have received their reparations. So, I'm like, and that was my reason for wanting to pull back or, not even consider Sanders, for my vote. Because, like, how can you, when your people have gotten reparations and all other people, except for Black Americans and, I guess Black Africans have received reparations, how could you say that you were not for, Black people getting reparations? Then later on, with this particular election, he stated that he would research it. Now, like researching it and saying that you're gonna put. I do agree that it does need researching because we like, and even we ourselves, we have to research it and make sure we're asking for the right thing for the right reason, etc. Okay, but to me that seemed like a scapegoat. It seems like he was just using that as a fill-in to say, that, he really had no concern about black people getting reparations. So, like my opinion of Bernie Sanders, and this is my opinion, is that, he's trying to say and act and do whatever it takes to get elected. But, like his views are not the views that he represents publicly are not his real true views and not his real true intentions. And as I stated before, it is my opinion that Bernie Sanders is just a person put in place as always. And with his health issues and everything, they're just there to split the Democratic vote, to keep, the person who's intended to get elected from getting elected, and which would benefit the Republicans. So, that's my opinion. And so, with this Joe Rogan type of endorsement, it almost, makes, my belief system, come, appear real. Even though it's just a conspiracy or my opinion, it makes it seem real. Rogan spoke about Sanders in 2020 in an interview with the author and columnist Barry Weiss. Asked who he would vote for in the primary, he said, I think I'll probably vote for Bernie. He added, he's been insanely consistent his entire life. He's basically been saying the same thing, been for the same thing for his whole life, and that in itself is a very powerful structure to operate from. Sanders, a lifelong Democratic socialist and independent, tweeted video of the exchange. It prompted a progressive backlash. Rogan's view on transgender issues regarding UFC athlete Fallon Fox, for example. And y'all know Fallon Fox was that wrestler who, killed, the transgender wrestler who was wrestling with a natural woman. I don't like to say cisgender because, why do we need extra? Why do natural or, people born as women need those extra, titles or whatever in front of their name? So, Fallon Fox was the transgender woman who was fighting, who was wrestling with the natural woman and, killed her. But Joe Rogan views on the transgender issue with Fallon Fox have attracted widespread controversy. His reference to the Planet of the Apes emerged in the fallout over his remarks about Sanders. He also made statements about Planet of the Apes, referring to us as people. In a 2013 podcast, Rogan discussed seeing the film in question in an African American neighborhood. We get out, we giggle. We're going to see we're going to go see Planet of Apes. We walk into Planet of Apes, he said. We walk into Africa. As you can see, that's a very racist statement. Rogan also said Planet of the Apes didn't take place in Africa. That was a racist thing for me to say. And said his trip to see the film had been a positive experience. But the HRC was not giving him or Sanders a pass. We should always be willing to educate individuals who operate from a place of bias, David said. But we should not directly or indirectly validate or celebrate them. Exactly. So Rogan and Sanders appear to be the same. It's like they say things and then they deny it or they backtrack. They backtrack. Rogan, given Rogan's comments, it is disappointing that Sanders' campaign has accepted and promoted the endorsement. So Sanders have accepted and promoted the endorsement, according to The Guardian. The Sanders campaign must reconsider this endorsement and the decision to publicize the views of someone who has consistently attacked and dehumanized marginalized people. Marginalized people are, Black, LGBT, women. And, he's pretty much, if you ask me, in my opinion, Sanders has also done so. Because, if you, according to Elizabeth Warren, allegedly, Sanders said that women can't be president. That's women. Okay. And, like when, to say that, he wasn't interested in giving black people reparations, and then to accept this endorsement, because when you're accepting endorsements are big money. And, like when you're accepting endorsements, it's, you have to, as a politician, you have to play to the favor of those people who support you, those people who give you monetary gain or monetary support. So by Rogan giving Sanders monetary support, if he were to win election, he would definitely have to, look at the views of Rogan and Rogan supporters. So, this in itself is not good. And, he definitely has to reconsider. And this is something that we definitely need to look at in terms of, whether we choose Sanders as a Democratic choice. In an earlier statement, a Sanders aide said the goal of the campaign is to build a multiracial, multi-generational movement large enough to defeat Donald Trump and the powerful special interests whose greed and corruption is the root cause of the outrageous inequality in America. Well, Trump is not the only one. Republicans are not the only one that caused the outrageous inequality in America. There are a lot of groups that also cause the inequality of America. Sharing a big tent requires including those who do not share every one of our beliefs, while always making clear that we will never compromise our values. The truth is that by standing together in solidarity, we share the values of love and respect that will move us in the direction of more humane and more equal world. Sounds like blah, blah, blah. It sounds like you're trying to pull one under our nose because, okay, this would be, if Sanders were to win the presidential campaign, he would be up for re-election. And, when people are up for re-election, they're definitely going to make sure that they fulfill their promises to the people who supported them, especially monetarily. So we have to keep that in mind. And if he weren't, then they know that they will lose that support. So Sanders, you're not fooling us. America faces an epic choice in the coming years, and the results will define the country for a generation. These are perilous times. Over the last 3 years, much of what the Guardian holds dear has been threatened. Democracy, civil truth, This U.S. administration is establishing new norms of behavior, and I agree. Things have definitely changed. It's like they're silencing people, and it's like they're silencing people that speak against the corruption. They're almost like, trying to put us in a place of, where we have no other choice but to accept it. And this is one of the reasons why I bring forth these types of information, because it's very vital. It's very vital that we speak out even more right now while we still have the rights, and we vote, and vote consciously, and make sure that we're not voting against ourselves, and make sure that, like, we're not doing or supporting things that are going against ourselves. And a lot of times, due to our lack of ignorance of things, of such like this Joe Rogan endorsement to Sanders, a lot of times, we end up following propaganda, false propaganda, as well as, like, we're regurgitating and repeating what a lot of people out here that are paid to do, because, like, the Russians are not the only ones right now online trying to push endorsements for people. There are a lot of people, and they've been doing this for years, a lot of groups and a lot of people that are paid to mislead us in terms of, voting against ourselves. So we have to be very careful about looking deeply, and and analyzing down to the core of what these people stand on, and what their beliefs are, and what they're going to bring to the table. And this is where we've been going wrong. Um it's not necessarily like that people are not, people get up and they know exactly, like a lot of the presidential campaigns, politicians lie. They know how to get up and they know how to say just enough, and not and hold out the truth. But it's our job to push forward, and to push forward, and make them be accountable. Make them say the absolute truth. Ask them for what we need. Demand what we need. If we're not doing that, then we're not doing our part. It's like there's no magic president. Like, nobody's just going to get up there and read our minds and look into the community and just give us what we need. We have to step forward, and we have to stand strong on the things that we need within our community. If we don't, then, like they say, a closed mouth don't get fed. And that's point blank simple. The U.S. administration is establishing new norms of behavior. Anger and cruelty disfigures public discourse, and lying in commonplaces. Truth is being chased away. I agree. But with your help, we can continue to put it center stage. And I love The Guardian, because, yes, The Guardian does, out of any news source, any media, they come with the truth. They tell the truth. They put it out there, and that's what we need. We don't need clouds. We don't need the gun smoke and all of those things. We need the truth. Rampant disinformation, partisan news sources, and social media tsunami of fake news is no basis on which to inform the American public in 2020. And I agree. And that's exactly what's going on, people. And that's what I'm bringing forward to the table. It's more than just the Russians out here trying to infiltrate the election. People, I hear a lot of people out there saying that your vote don't count, voting doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, why are they going through all this trouble to, why are they going through the trouble to, try to, mislead us? Why? This is money. They're spending tons of money to mislead us. If voting didn't matter, if voting didn't count, why are they going through all of this trouble? Why are the Russians all over here, biting and doing things if voting didn't matter? They want us to believe that. And a lot of the people that are out there saying it, especially amongst us, as our people, especially after knowing the great lengths that our ancestors, both the women ancestors who fought during the women's suffrage movement for the women's right to vote, and then Trump is now now trying to take away Amendment 19, which gives women rights to vote, as well as our ancestors who fought during the civil rights movement and lost their lives, for us, as so-called Black, so-called African Americans, to have the right to vote. If nothing else, you vote in honor of your ancestors, because it's an extreme dishonor to your ancestors not to participate in something, that they fought so hard for. Okay, so The need for a robust, independent press has never been greater. And with your support, we can continue to provide fact-based reporting that offers truth. All right. So that's from the Guardian. That's one of my favorite, places to go get my sources of information. Um, and so pretty much, Sanders, he has to reconsider the endorsement from Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan Experience, which is on YouTube, which is has said a lot of different derogatory things against LGBT, against Black people, etc. So I just want to bring that forth today, as well as that update on Kobe Bryant, and the fact that they're right now the investigation is like sort of steering towards the fact that it was due to the weather and visibility. But I'll keep you guys updated as we go. I'm going to come back on a little later with some other things. Like I'm going to talk about 50 Cent a little bit and what he's doing out here, because he's big in the news, clout chasing as well. So, let's go out with a bang. Let's go out with a little music, and peace, love, and light. I'll see you later.
This is another Impossible production.